welcome back to the Tea and a Buddy podcast. I'm Dominic.
And I'm Erica.
And today we're talking about British myths and legends. The end.
I don't know.
You just looked at me just like...
I was thinking I was going to go, woo, or I was going to go dun 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 or something, but I couldn't decide.
So you just left us with dead air.
It just resulted in complete and total silence.
An absolute crime, if anything. But yes, and we got most of these from countryfile.com, and that was a great show back in the day, Countryfile.
Doesn't that still come on?
I think it might do, actually, yeah. I think I tried to get you to watch it one day, and you weren't feeling it.
It's okay. It's a very, sleepy show.
Yes, I think you did fall asleep.
It's just like, today we're gonna...
You don't know how cute she looks today. She just looks all cute in her little chair here next to me.
Why? Just because it's a small chair and I'm just very
little and just like
down here.
You're talking about falling asleep to Countryfile and it's been all really sweet.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, we're talking about British. We were going to talk about ghosts, ghost stories and stuff like that, but I feel like the myths and the legends are better.
Okay.
I think this is, more in line.
When you say legends, because Dominic looked this stuff up, I didn't. When you say legends,
we're talking of the finest legends ever to exist.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, are you talking of legends? Like, we're talking about, the Beatles?
Yeah.
Or are we talking about, urban legends?
Urban legends.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't go, yeah.
Yeah. Talking about urban legends, aren't I, mate? But yes, the first one on this urban myths and legends episode is Cornish piskies, which...
Piskies?
That's what they used to call them.
Not pixies.
They are pixies. I think that got... Over time, everybody just started calling them pixies,
These are going to be so cute, because these...
And the belief in piskies all over Cornwall sought to explain a portfolio of peculiarities and odd phenomena.
Okay, when you say Cornish pixies, I automatically think of Harry Potter.
Yes, I know.
They're just blue, and they're little, and they're angry.
They're not angry, they're just mischievous.
They're just kind of angry all the time with, gritted teeth, and they're like, what can I do? And they're just like...
Like you. But you're a Cornish pixie.
They're just hyper, and they're
it's
just
living with you a day after day.
They're just getting into things, and they're just making you crazy. But this is so cute, because these are nothing near. Eventually, we're gonna get to American myths and legends.
We're not doing that today, but
this down the line.
Down the line, we're just going to talk about these ones now.
And Cornish pixies. I mean, we don't have anything like that.
They call them the piskies. Yeah, the pixies. Yeah, I'm.
Piskies. Is that like some people say axe?
I guess. Of ask. Them Cornish piskies. Because they're pesky piskies. That may be where pesky came from.
Pesky piskies. Now I'm getting confused. Pesky pixies.
Pesky piskies.
Yeah.
It's a tongue...
Stop it.
You are a little Cornish pixie. You just went blue there so sweetly. Yeah, the belief in piskies all over Cornwall sought to explain a portfolio...
Every time you say piskies, I think you're messing it up.
All right, I'm going to go back. I'm just going to say pixies, okay? For everyone, just to be uniform with the idea... It's pixies from now. Gosh. The belief in pixies... See, you're ruining me because I'm reading it. And my head's going, piskies. Because it says piskies. The belief in pixies all over Cornwall sought to explain a portfolio of peculiarities and odd phenomena, especially around the mining areas where, if the stories are to be believed, they almost acquired the status of supernatural vermin during the 19th century. So there was something that came around from, miners and stuff like, oh, the pixies are down there.
Yeah.
So those Cornish pixies causing havoc again.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if it's, what is it? Not Gaelic.
Celtic.
I wonder if it's a Celtic thing because...
Well, Cornwall, yeah.
Because in Ireland, the fairies are similar.
It's a similar thing. Yeah, no, I'll get to that now. Stories of pixie interactions with humans tell how they have the power to abduct, befuddle, and lead people astray over the landscape. You were more vulnerable if you happened to find yourself on a fairy path.
How come everything that I know about, instead of having come from school, either comes from Harry Potter or some sort of British period drama that I watch? And because the story I'm going to tell you now.
Oh, she's got a story, everyone.
Well, not a story, but...
Here we go now. Are you sitting comfortably?
The thing that this is making me think of is Outlander. Isn't it Outlander? Where the baby's going to die and they go and put it in the tree.
Yeah, for the fairies to come and take.
Either heal or take.
Yeah.
They either heal it or they take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just made me think of that now. And I never knew about that.
Yeah, it's a similar thing, you know. I mean, there was so many, I just picked a select few that would be kind of recognizable. You
have to wonder, like, what actually happened if they came back and the baby was gone. Like, obviously an animal got it or something.
Yeah,
probably.
An animal took it, or, you know, someone else took it.
That is just horrible. I can't even, like...
Well, no, they actually explained it, didn't they? They were like, oh, you know, it's not gonna get well. They've put it there, and we're gonna come later on tonight and just take it and bury it somewhere. You know, didn't they? They said,
I can't remember. Yeah,
and then someone was like, "You can't interfere with the fairies," and it's just like, the fairies, okay,
yeah.
It's like there's no fairies.
If you touched it, it would die or something.
Yes,
I can't remember what.
It was some kind of like thing, you know. But yes, the dead straight roots that, like their modern equivalents in myth, the ley lines, connect the fairy forts with their various tumps and tumuli. So yes,
I love
fairy forts are a thing in Ireland too. You know, like, there was some politician who came up with, they're disturbing the fairy forts. And someone on Twitter was like, what is this guy smoking? He's talking about fairy forts in Parliament, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, I mean, because it's like, you know, like the Cornish pixies are coming to get us all, you know? It's just like...
I love that. Like, so, you know, if you got, like, lost in, I don't know, the moors or something. I don't know if there's moors in Cornwall, but...
Yeah.
You know, it's because the pixies led you astray.
The pixies led you astray, those pixies.
It's like...
They're up to no good.
It must have been sort of like a thing, like, you're hallucinating. Like, you know, when you're in the desert and you see a mirage...
It's the pixies.
You know,
That's what it was.
It's like they're seeing pixies instead of like, you know, instead of like...
It's the pixies confusing and
oasis.
befuddling me, and they abducted me.
Yeah.
They led me astray.
God, what an excuse. Oh no, it wasn't me. It was the pixies.
Oh, I got lost. Those pixies.
The pixies led me astray. Sure.
The little pixies are blue and cute, and they're angry all the time. The next one on our list is the Green Man. You ever heard about the Green Man?
No.
Yeah, you have. You've heard about the Green Man.
Nope.
The Green Man is a symbol of new life and new growth, which is typically associated with all that spring brings.
Like the Jolly Green Giant.
Kind of like that, yes. References to the Green Man can be seen around the world with images of faces covered in foliage, or carved in wood, or in stone in medieval churches and cathedrals. To many, he is the keeper of the forest and woods, an environmental guardian. Now, where have you heard that before? Wurzel Gummidge. He's talking about, the Green Man.
Oh, no, I haven't. I was thinking about...
they call him something else, I think, you know, like, you know.
I was thinking about Moana.
Well, there you go, Moana.
It's not a man, though. It was a woman, remember?
Yeah.
And she was like, basically like Mother Earth kind of thing, but she had all the flowers and everything, and she was, I think she was a mountain, or she was a hillside or something, wasn't she? And she fought the other thing, which was like fire.
Yeah.
But basically, the Green Man, it's like another way to say Mother Earth, isn't it?
The Green Man, he's all like covered in, he's like a tree, or he's like a hedge or something, or he's, you know, he's in the grass.
Wurzel Gummidge, where did Wurzel Gummidge mention the Green Man?
He was always talking about the Green Man.
Wurzel Gummidge is the worst, you guys.
Wurzel Gummidge is cute. I mean, they remade it with Mackenzie Crook, and I urge you to go watch it. It's like a mini series.
It's
like
very
TV
disturbing
films.
to look at. The stories are okay, but it's quite disturbing. I don't know.
He's a scarecrow,
but he's not cute like in The Wizard of Oz. He's like a creepy, like craggly. He looks like a.
He looks like a scarecrow. He looks like an actual scarecrow.
No, he looks horrible.
I mean, if you watch the 1970s one with John Pertwee, and I think what was her name? She was in Sherlock.
Did they look as horrible in that one?
No, I mean, he just kind of looked dirtied up and everything. You know, they didn't have CGI and stuff back then. You know,
don't need CGI. They didn't have CGI in The Wizard of Oz either.
Yeah, I know, but they didn't. They made him kind of just look. They just stuck bits of stuff to him, didn't they? Which is what they did with just makeup. Mm. Yeah, but with like the new Wurzel Gummidge, it was CGI'd him up to make him look like. But why was he
talking about the Green Man? I don't remember.
Because I think that's who created him. You know, and gave him life. Or someone, I think that's what it was. The Green Man, he's like, oh yeah, there's something wrong. The Green Man isn't here, and, they're trying to destroy the environment, and,
Yeah.
And he wouldn't allow that.
But I mean, yeah, I guess that's a typical kind of an image, isn't it? Like someone with a green face, and they have the flowers and everything all around there, like a mane of flowers.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see faces in the leaves.
I mean, is that a thing?
Because sometimes you can see faces in the leaves and stuff like that. I've seen them.
Have you?
I've seen the Green Man. Yeah. My many walks in the woods.
No, but is the Green Man something you already knew about before you started reading this? Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah,
so
I've heard about the Green Man.
Oh, yeah. Like how? Like, give me context.
Well, it's just like, it's just like in school, people would talk about, the Green Man's been out here. And I remember this kid used to talk about it in primary school. And I was like, the Green Man? And I was like, what is the Green Man? It's like, oh, he's just the, he's nature and everything. He's the environment, Mm-hmm. He's the god of the environment. They would
So do you guys use, Mother Nature? Do you say Mother Nature?
Yeah, Mother Nature.
Oh,
But the Green Man's there too, I guess. Green Man hangs around too,
The Green Man is Mother Nature's husband.
Because Mother Nature. Well, maybe. I mean, I don't remember it being that way. But yeah, the Green Man. That was. I think that comes from Cornwall and Devon and stuff like that too. Where there's a lot of greenery, where there's trees. Because this is another thing. Erica keeps insisting there are no trees in Britain. It's like, there's no trees everywhere.
There's no trees in the towns.
There's no trees in the towns. It's like, well, look.
There's no trees in the neighborhoods.
It's a beautiful tree in the neighborhood.
You don't walk down the street and it's like, oh, lovely tree-lined streets, or people have so many trees in their backyards. No, they hardly have a backyard.
Send us in your tree-lined streets if you're in the UK, and send us pictures of them.
At T-Butty, TEABUTTY, on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. Yeah. Send us your pictures.
Tweet us them
of your tree-lined neighborhoods in Britain that don't exist.
That you can prove her wrong.
I mean, you can see trees out. No, every time I say that, he's like, there's trees in Britain. What are you talking about? You've seen them. You've seen the trees. And it's like, yeah, there's trees in the cemeteries, and there's trees in the countryside.
Yeah.
But there's not trees just in people's front or backyards when you're walking down the street.
You're talking about row houses and terraced houses and stuff. No, there's not going to be, because...
That's what I mean. There's not trees in the towns.
Because I mean, the houses there. That's why. There's no...
Oh, my God. There's houses here as well, isn't there?
But there's trees in the town.
Send us your tree pictures, people.
Yeah. Send them to us. Meanwhile, we'll move on to the next. Kelpies.
Oh, I feel like I've heard of this.
Kelpies are said to inhabit almost every single Scottish lake in the land. So there you go, it's a Scottish thing. And some say that Nessie is the most famous of their kind.
What?
They hold shape. You know Nessie, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, what is a Kelpie then? I was thinking
they hold shape-shifting powers, but in their everyday form are said to be similar to a horse. But the legend is rumoured to have been born in order to keep children away from the edge of large bodies of water. They were told Kelpies would drag them in and eat them. Although not mythical, the Kelpies at Falkirk in Scotland are not to be missed.
Not mythical?
Based on the Scottish legend, these 30-metre-high sculptures, the largest equine sculpture in the world, certainly take your breath away and feel scarily real.
They're like, oh no, actually, Kelpies are real. They're not mythical.
Oh, the wee Kelpies are there.
They're not mythical whatsoever.
Don't even go near the water, because the Kelpies will get you. They'll drag you in. I mean, they'll eat you, and that'll be the end of you.
I mean, that's the function of a myth or a legend, isn't it? To scare kids into doing what you want them to do, basically, or not even just kids.
Kelpies getting you everywhere,
but people in general. It's like
Yeah.
it's like a little story that someone's made up to frighten people into behaving.
Yeah.
It's like that's all it is, really.
Yeah. But yes, the Kelpies. I mean, I remember hearing about them when I was a kid, because I lived in Scotland as a kid a lot, so...
Yeah.
Well, a lot, I say, it's like that was where I basically kind of like grew up a bit, in Scotland. And the wee Kelpies are there, watch out for the Kelpies, don't go in that water. And I was just like, and I thought it was like a type of fish.
Well, I mean,
but I guess it's like, they're like, they're like horses, they're like seahorses or something.
If someone said to me Kelpies, right?
You'd think of kelp.
I would think it was kelp. I would think it was a cute...
And maybe that's what it was. That's
I would think
it
was
came from.
Maybe. And kelp could pull you under.
Yeah.
Because, people get wrapped up in that and stuck,
Yeah, but that's not kelp. That's the Kelpies. Get in them.
No, that's what I was going to say. Like, if
Kelpies
someone said...
just grab you and grab your feet.
If I went out to Scotland and someone was telling me about the Kelpies, I would think that it was a cutesy little Scottish way of saying kelp.
Maybe
I would just be like, "Oh my god!"
But
they call kelp kelpies.
But it's actually little like horses. They look like little horses,
little
and
creatures.
Little
It says
creatures.
shapeshifters, though.
Yeah, I mean they could be anything. They could turn into kelp.
Don't do your neck like that. Like
The Kelpies, they'll get you. They'll just get you. They'll get your little feetsies and they'll drag you under when you're swimming in the loch.
Oh my god.
The loch.
Yeah.
The lochs of Scotland, because there's a lot of water in Scotland. That's where all this originated from, is like the huge amounts of water that
apparently like are open to the sea, because we saw a video of a whale inside a loch.
Oh yeah, I don't know how that got in there. Yeah. It's like, what are you doing in here? How do you get in here?
It's like, no wonder they think that there's monsters in this water when they're because there is. It's like you're just in a
Kelpies.
You're just in
That's
a
where
little,
they are.
You're just in a little rowboat, like out on the loch, and you're fishing or something, and you look down and there's a killer whale there, like looking at you. Like, what is going on?
He's just looking. He's just like, hello, I'm not the Loch Ness monster.
Oh my god.
The next one we've got on this is Spriggan of West Penwith. Or Penith, maybe. It's another Cornish legend. And it's home to a menagerie of supernatural creatures, including Spriggan of West Penwith, a grotesquely ugly hobgoblin that guards treasure at burial mounds, but isn't averse to theft of human property or even human infants, substituting them for a changeling in their crib. There we go.
Oh.
Generally, Spriggans can be characterized as spiteful piskies or pixies, leading travelers into swamps or over cliffs. So they're like a goblin, just like,
Okay, yeah.
like Spriggan. But yeah, he came from like I haven't heard of his particular legend before reading this, but that's where the goblin...
Yeah.
Because what was it in Merlin we were watching? They had the pixies, which were kind of like mischievous. But there was a goblin that he let out, and it was a goblin. It was like, boom.
Yeah. Was Rumpelstiltskin a goblin?
He was kind of like one, I guess.
What story am I thinking about where there's a hobgoblin? So they call
hobgoblin.
Hobgoblin.
Hobgoblins, that's what they call him.
Yeah.
This little hobgoblin, he's all grotesque, and he's like, ooh.
So Spriggan, that's his name?
Spriggan, that's his name. Spriggan.
So it's just one guy, is it?
It's a supernatural creature, he's like
There's not a bunch of them.
There's not a bunch of them, he's just the guy,
It's just him, and he's just hanging out.
He's a grotesquely ugly hobgoblin that guards treasure at burial mounds.
Okay.
Yeah, because they love gold goblins, don't they?
So this is a little
That's why in Harry Potter they were at the bank.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Yes, the goblins of Gringotts,
But the hobgoblin that guards treasure, that also
and then he steals it too.
It also sort of sounds like the leprechaun at the end of the rainbow,
yeah,
right?
That's what Rumpelstiltskin was kind of like modeled after a leprechaun, wasn't it?
Was he? I can't remember. Yeah. Okay, so we're getting like sort of a mixture here of like, because he has to do with the piskies.
The pixies, yeah. I mean, he's kind of related to them, in some way,
Yeah.
Spriggan and his band of
So a lot of
Cornish
these.
piskies.
So I'm kind of like intrigued at this moment to do the research for the American myths and legends, because I have a feeling I wasn't imagining that you were going to come to us with this kind of thing. To me, these are almost more like, I mean, they are myths and legends, aren't they? They're myths or whatever, but like they're sort of like fantastical creatures, like like in a fairy tale or something like that. Like the
you
legends.
thought I was going to come to you with like, oh, the boy that drowned in the lake.
Yeah,
and then he came back to life and he was a hobgoblin.
Well, whatever, like, you know, and then you go to that lake and sometimes you might get pulled under by him or something like that. Things like that.
I mean, I'm sure that kind of stuff is like, urban legend at the end of the day, you know, like, oh, don't go to the quarry because the boy that died there in the 80s.
Yeah, we'll pull you under.
We'll grab you, and kill you too, you know.
Yeah.
Or you'll see him fall to his death or whatever, you know, those kind of things.
But these are much, much, like, older than than the ones I was thinking in my head. So I wonder, I mean, when I do my research, I'll try to see if I can find any like old ones like this. No, because this is quite interesting, and this is like almost
good old Spriggan.
Yeah, we could almost do like a part 1 and a part 2 of this. Like you could probably find more recent myths and legends as well, I would assume.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I'm curious as to whether anything this kind of old exists here in America. You know, because these are like, I can't even imagine like how far these things go back, you know, like probably to the beginning of
the beginning of like, you know,
as far as
civilization,
yes. As far as people can,
medieval or
record
whatever.
Yeah, you know, history.
Well, these have been passed down in the legend folklore, you know.
Yeah. They're so fun. I like learning about these.
The next one is one that's very famous, the Beast of Bodmin Moor.
Okay,
You've surely heard of that one before, me, or did you hear it through me?
Well, I think, I think I heard it through you.
Oh, I thought this was like a really famous, like, worldwide
it's like the
one.
Sherlock thing, right?
Yes, it's kind of the same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Numerous local sightings of a very large black cat are believed in some quarters to be less a spectral feline and more a very real panther or puma, possibly a zoo escapee or illegal release. Sightings of the Beast of Bodmin Moor are the most famous examples of alleged wildcat sightings in Britain. The similarly alliterative Beast of Buchan from Aberdeenshire has been reported since the 1930s. Oh yeah, I've heard of him too. All over Britain, big cats have been captured or shot over the years. Pumas in Scotland, Canadian and Eurasian lynxes, a serval or ocelot from the Isle of Wight, and a clouded leopard in Kent. Clouded leopard, that sounds cute.
Yeah.
It's believed that many of those captured were domesticated to some extent. One of the Scottish pumas apparently enjoyed being tickled.
What?
But yeah, no, that's like
is this real then or no?
It's just a case of like, oh, it's just a cat.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's just a puma or something. The Beast of Bodmin Moor, you know, is always out there.
Yeah.
You know, don't go out in the moor because the beast is out there, you know. And they've just amalgamated all these like wild cat theories, you know.
Right.
That he's been getting sheep and he's been getting.
So this is like
it's a farmer legend, probably.
Yeah, this is like a Bigfoot
kind of thing, yeah.
Or a Yeti or a
Well, there you go.
Chupacabra.
Yeah,
you know.
There you go. You're just naming some old.
Yeah, I guess so.
Old American folklore.
Are they American though? I don't know. I mean,
well, Bigfoot. Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
Bigfoot's from over here. Yeah,
I guess so. Yeah,
up in the Rockies or something, wasn't it?
Sure.
Sure.
But yeah. Okay. So yeah. So is this then what the
Hound of the Baskervilles was based on? Yeah, and I mean. It's just a very famous, like, legend in Britain, you know, with, like, the Beast of Bodmin Moor and, you know, like, I mean, Bodmin Moor's in Cornwall.
Yeah.
Because they've also got, Bodmin used to be like an insane asylum.
Yeah.
So they have that kind of like legend up there, going Bodmin.
Yeah.
Is a term. Well, there used to be a term, for like if you're going crazy. So, you had all that stuff up in Bodmin. It's like a large, like, what do you call it, plain,
Yeah.
like nothing up there. So, of course they're going to have some sort of like, there's a wild beast that roams it, and we don't know what it is, and it's still out there, like Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah. Like the mountain lion that supposedly lurks around here.
Yes, like the mountain lion that's around here. We saw it, didn't we? Well, we didn't see it. But we've heard that it lurks around here, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the chupacabra,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's another similar thing, but that's the only one that comes to mind around here. And it's the same kind of thing. And it probably comes from that, either created for the same reason that beast was created.
Yeah, it's just to stop kids going out onto the moor or people venturing onto the moor.
And also like to say, protect your farm animals,
Yeah.
Like don't let them...
Like, I think the Beast of Bodmin Moor was an inspiration for several. I mean, An American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
That was the inspiration. I don't know. You've never seen that, I don't think.
No.
I was watching it the other night. And I think it's set up in the north somewhere, in Yorkshire or something. And, they keep telling them, don't go out in the moor,
Yeah, I always thought that was sort of like an evolution of like a vampire-y type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Dracula
that, yeah, there's all that kind of stuff. Evil lurks out there.
Yeah.
Don't go out there.
Yeah.
But the next one, we're coming to the end of this now, the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah.
And that's just huge.
That's the most famous one.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know, actually.
That's the main one on the list of everything you've mentioned.
This is the second to last one, and I think the last one is the more famous
one.
So.
I mean, this is the first thing on the list that I would say that most Americans are probably aware of. That most Americans have probably heard of this, whether they are an Anglophile or not,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Its own monsters and is the most well-known of all in the freshwater lakes, Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster. Loch Ness holds as much fresh water as all the lakes of England and Wales combined, but the peat of the surrounding countryside makes it as notoriously murky as the legends that surround its most famous character and most of the photographs taken of it. Because, I mean, they debunked that photograph, the famous one.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, I think that the myth of Loch Ness Monster is so perpetuated that I only recently found out that the famous photo of it has actually been debunked.
It's
like
been
100%,
debunked, yeah. The guy who came out, it was just like a prank. It was a newspaper guy and his friend, and they used some sort of like contraption. Pulling along with like thing, and they took a photo of it and they said, "This is it. We've got it right here." Because like modern Scottish lake monsters are often described as dinosaur-like, because that little like photo looks like a brontosaurus or whatever.
Yeah.
But before the discovery of dinosaurs, almost every large body of water in Scotland had a kelpie, which, like the Orcadian knuckle levy, had a horse-like form. Kelpies may well have been part of a cautionary tale tradition to keep children away from rivers in case the kelpie got them. So it evolved from that.
Yeah.
It definitely evolved from the kelpie thing. It's like, there's a monster in there. It's the biggest kelpie of them all, and he'll get you. You know? So, like, that's where it came from. And then, of course, the legend just exploded with that photo. It's like, we found it, it's in there, and people just wanted to believe it. Yeah. Because there's people out there.
And it was what? It was in the 1920s or something,
30s, I think it was yeah. And even today, there's still people who set up camp and wait and watch.
Well, no, that's what I said. I mean, even though I knew, like, obviously, there's no Loch Ness Monster,
There's no Loch Ness Monster. You can swim in Loch Ness.
I didn't until recently know that famous photo had been actually debunked, like, because people just perpetuate the myth so much.
There's people who don't want to believe it's been debunked.
Yeah.
There are people who just say, oh, well, they had to come out and say it wasn't real because of the tourist board.
Yeah.
You know, no one was going to Scotland because they thought they were going to get dragged into the loch, you know,
yeah.
by Nessie, you know, or Nessie was going to get them when they were on one of their fishing
Yeah.
trips or whatever,
Mhm.
you know, it's just like, so they had to come out and say, oh, it was all a prank, oh, yeah, there's no monster.
Oh,
But it's just like, yeah, there is no monster.
I saw
because
this
it would have surfaced.
Yeah. I saw this show one time though, and I can't remember if you were watching it with me or who, but and I can't remember who the guy was, so this this whole story is kind of useless.
The whole story is useless.
But I saw this show where this guy is like out on the loch, and they find like a monster in quotation marks, but it's like a giant, I want to say eel or something like that. It's like a really long, like sort of snake-like fish, and they're like, "Is this the Loch Ness monster?" And it's like, well, if things like that exist in there, I mean, if somebody saw that, they might have gone, "Oh, it's a monster." You know what I mean? Like, I can see
it's
that.
It's a monster
because it doesn't look like a typical fish, and it's freaking huge. You know,
it's like a moray eel. Yeah, I think a moray eel is like a huge eel.
Yeah, I can't remember. I can't remember if it was an eel or if it was just like a weird kind of fish or whatever. But it was really long and sort of like tubular in shape, like a snake or whatever, you know, and like huge, like longer than a grown man, you know, like very big. And I can imagine someone seeing that and being like, "Oh, it's a monster," you know. But yeah, probably what you said. It just grew from there. It
just took off from there, and then of course, like, it would have probably stayed like a national kind of like legend, and unless that photograph hadn't been taken and gone around the world saying, "Oh, it's there," you know,
cover of the National Enquirer every few months, you know, someone spotted the Loch Ness monster.
And even after it had been debunked, I think it was debunked in like the late 60s, or something. I think one of them came out and said, it wasn't real, you know.
The guy was on his deathbed or something.
I think he was on his deathbed. I don't think it was.
There was like two of them involved.
Yeah, it was like a guy who owned some newspapers, and he wanted to get back at someone else, you know, for like something. It was like some sort of like grudge or something.
I mean, if you're interested,
you can look it up. It's the story's obviously online.
Yeah.
So, the next one, the last one we've got here is Robin Hood.
Yeah. This is another one. Yeah.
This is another one that people believe, oh, is it real or is he not?
Yes,
you know?
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
And this
is another one that people want to believe was real.
He joins Nessie as the most searched for British legend in the UK, and takes the title as the most searched for UK legend worldwide, you know?
Really?
So he's more famous than even Loch Ness.
Because I consider, like, King Arthur is a legend.
Well, he was another one. He was another one. But I didn't put him down because it was just like, Yeah,
we just did a podcast about the legend
and
of
King
Arthur.
that legend, right, is so ingrained that actual kings and queens say they're descended from him. It was descended from the King Arthur.
Yeah.
And Guinevere.
Well, they have in the past. I don't know if Queen Elizabeth's going around telling people she descends from King Arthur.
Maybe when she's really annoyed with someone, she'll say, "You know what? I'm descended from actual King Arthur here. Merlin, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you better watch out, mate."
Magic.
Me? Magic. But yeah, no, I can see, you know, it was that kind of like, that story was just so inspiring, you know, and people were like, and kings were just like, that's me, that's my bloodline right there.
But it's the same with Robin Hood, like, it's a very inspiring story,
and it's a Nottingham-based story, obviously, you know, the Sheriff of Nottingham and the King and everything.
I mean, I went to go to Nottingham and Sherwood Forest just because of Robin Hood, so...
The man who set out to steal from the rich to give to the poor has become iconic in British folklore, making it no surprise that he's made the top spot. You probably know this heroic character from various films and cartoons which feature his story, which dates back to the 13th century. There have been many versions of his story throughout time, but he's depicted as a hero in everyone's eyes, because there's been people coming out going, was he really that? Was he just an actual bandit that someone decided, I'll say he was a hero.
Yeah.
You know?
Did he? Yeah, because there are people, though,
who say he existed, but,
but it wasn't
like
all
the
that
actual
it was...
King Arthur, King Arthur existed, but he wasn't nearly as fantastic as his Netflix show made him out to be,
Yeah.
It's the Netflix story.
He wasn't really best friends with a wizard, I mean.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, yeah.
Yeah,
But Robin Hood, yeah, I mean, he's probably the most famous of them all.
And it's very plausible, isn't it? That, I mean, you can see over here in the States how romanticized some of the notorious, like,
bandits
have been over time. You could see how in another, however many hundreds of years, it could be like, oh, Jesse James, he was a hero. He was a, and really he was like a murderer. You know? But you could see how things get romanticized and they get passed down, and Robin Hood might have actually existed and he wasn't really that great of a guy. Wasn't that
great of a guy. I was hung out with him several times in Nottingham and Sherwood Forest, and he wasn't that great of a guy. He stole my food on a couple of occasions, nicked my beans.
What's always interested me is the Sheriff of Nottingham. Because I didn't realize...
Maybe the Sheriff of Nottingham was the real hero in all this. Was it,
I mean, when did you guys stop having sheriffs?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe in medieval times, I guess. When the police were formed.
Yeah.
And it's just like, there you go. That's an old-fashioned thing over here, I guess. Having sheriff. Because that's another thing, It's like, why call them sheriffs and not just police officers, Because that's what they are,
Yeah.
You got sheriffs,
and you got this because
people in like the Austin Police Department aren't called sheriffs because it's not the sheriff's department. So what exactly do the sheriffs do then?
Well, they do the same thing. Oh my god, I don't know how many times we have to go over this.
They do the same thing, but they're called sheriffs.
But for the county instead of for the city.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do the state troopers do?
They do it for the whole state.
And why aren't they called sheriffs?
Because they're troopers, because they travel. They travel the state.
I suppose. I mean...
And then the Texas Rangers are like Texas's FBI, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what about other states? Do they have them?
I have no idea, actually.
Are there Oklahoma Rangers?
We're
Are there Florida Rangers? Are there California Rangers?
People would have to tell me. Our listeners would have to tell us whether they have some sort of... They probably don't call them Rangers.
The California Irregulars. Yeah.
But yeah.
Robin Hood.
We went off track there.
We went off track there because we were talking about Lord Sheriff. You were asking when did they get rid of sheriffs and stuff. But it's like, like... the High Sheriff of Scotland and the High Sheriff of England or whatever, Sheriff of Nottingham, and that all went out in medieval times,
Yeah.
To me, to people in Britain now, sheriff is associated with the Wild West.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, there he is, the sheriff,
Yes.
The sheriff's back in town, and
oh my god, have you guys been lucky enough to hear Dominic's
this is my wild
western accent?
This is my Wild West accent, and I'm back in town with the sheriff here. Sheriff's gone.
Oh my god. Who's your favorite Robin Hood?
Who's my favorite Robin Hood?
Yeah. What's your favorite depiction
Errol
of
Flynn.
Robin? Errol Flynn, is it?
I don't know. I've never seen Errol Flynn as Robin Hood.
What?
I just thought about it. I don't know who my favorite Robin Hood is. I'd say Michael Pride.
Who's that?
Ah, you see?
Oh my god.
You see? You don't even know Robin of Sherwood,
You want to know my favorite Robin Hood?
Who is it?
The fox on the Disney Robin Hood film. I had the biggest crush on him when I was little.
And he hates being known because, he's done so many other roles since Robin Hood. He's played the fox in The Fox and the Gingerbread Man.
No, I think that the Kevin Costner Robin Hood was quite good, even though he was like American. He wasn't like he made no attempt at a British accent whatsoever.
No, he didn't.
He was just like, I'm American. Let's not pretend here.
Yeah, no, he wasn't going to bother with it. Yeah.
I thought that was quite a good film. I've never actually seen the Russell Crowe one.
The Russell Crowe one was apparently okay. I think they've done another one.
There was a series too.
There was
a
series, the Michael Pride version of the 80s Robin of Sherwood.
But there was a series on when the first time I came to visit you in Britain. It was on TV, and it looked modern.
Yeah, it was a new telling. I think it's actually on Netflix. Actually,
we'll have to watch that.
I'll have to see.
I love the story of Robin Hood.
Robin Hood, it's really cute.
Yeah, it's a classic kind of story.
It started because of Merlin, I guess, but I think they cancelled it and they didn't end
the series. You mean not the legend of
not
Robin.
The legend, not the legend. But
I was very confused for a second.
The series, because the Merlin series started in like the mid 2000s or whatever,
Yeah.
And then they had Robin Hood as well. It was like Sunday night entertainment, and they had it with Three Musketeers as well,
Yeah.
Which are another legend,
Yeah. It's not British, though.
Not British, no.
Oh, my gosh. All right. I think
we're done.
Yeah.
I think we are.
Let us know if you want a part 2 to this for, like, more recent or more modern type myths and legends. Because I think that could be interesting, too.
Yeah.
Because this is above and beyond what I thought. Like,
well, there you go.
I wasn't even thinking this far back, But it's fun to talk about all of these, like, because obviously, I mean, pixies and
Cornish
hobgoblins and things like that are myths, aren't they?
Yeah, hobgoblins.
Yeah.
Where are you going to find your local hobgoblin?
Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much, as always, for tuning in. We really appreciate your support, especially our patrons. We really appreciate you guys. If you would like to become a patron, be sure to check out our Patreon page. It is patreon.com/teeandabuddy. Other than that, you can support us by just following us on social media and sharing our podcast with your friends.
Talking about us all the time.
We're on Instagram.
And making us into a legend.
Oh my God.
Folklore.
We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at TButty, TEABUTTY. And we'll talk to you next time.
Talk to you next time, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.